Milton J. Bates lives on Lake Superior, a retired English professor and former Guggenheim Fellow. He taught at Williams College and Marquette University. His publications include books on the poet Wallace Stevens, the Vietnam War, and the Bark River Valley in Wisconsin. His poems have appeared in Bellevue Literary Review, Great Lakes Review, the Southern Review, and other magazines and anthologies. Five Oaks Press published his poetry chapbook, Always on Fire. Milton Bates.
Thanks to you, Rick and Janeen. I just came over from the awards presentation ceremony at the MACC across the street. And Janeen did us proud receiving the gift on behalf of the Poet Circle. So it's a wonderful occasion. Five Oaks Press has a rather alarming cover for the chapbook. It's a house that appears to be on fire, but actually, if you look more closely, it's a photograph of the house that's on fire. And I'd like to open with the first poem, which explains how the title came about. So the title of that poem is Supposing the House is on Fire. It's a game we play. Suppose the house is on fire, we say. What would you try to say? Our children aren't for saving anymore. They've grown up and moved to houses of their own. No pets either to complicate the choice. You open with the jeans you grab because you've never had a pair that fits so well. I counter with my lucky fishing rod. We're just warming up, passing the time, until one of us plays the winning card, the same one every game. We rescue our photos first. Excuse me, I'll start that line again. We rescue our photos first, low crawling through smoky rooms, dodging the falling embers and the sparking wires. Because we can't bear to lose the story pictures tell, the proof we've walked this earth. We tried a retrospective once, gorging nightly on prints and slides, devouring digital images. We remarked how young we looked, how peculiar our clothes, how we really must return to destination X or Y. The surface left us still unsatisfied. What's missing from the record, we asked ourselves, and had to answer almost everything. It's a game we play, the picture taking too. Who'd ever guess that we sipped coffee as the sun came up, spent most days working, touched each other in the dark. Pictures don't lie, but they keep secrets, including this one. The house is always on fire. There are several motifs that I followed through the chapbook, and one of them is, in fact, photos, and others fire, and others light. So the second poem in the chapbook is called The Dark Room. When he needed to see things clearly, he retreated to a walled-off corner of the basement, switched on a red light, and poured potions from brown bottles into trays. Then he fed a film strip into the enlarger and twisted the lens until his world snapped into focus. It wasn't as he remembered it, not yet. But the photo paper's silver salts would make it right again, turn black to white and white to black. He threw an image onto a light-shy surface, counted down, and eased it into a tray. A picture bloomed in the sage-like sloshing of developer. He bathed it in fresh water, locked it in with fixer, and rinsed it off. Under white light, the likeness seemed true enough, but not as true as when he glimpsed before the grays turned black. He'd heard of images like that, shimmering above the polar ice or desert sand. shapes that weren't quite there, things seen once, seen truly, never seen again. He hung the print to dry and climbed the stairs to daylight, climbed slowly toward that other darkness. This is a poem based on a story I read somewhere, and I'll never be able to locate where I got it from. But it's a rather poignant story about a man whose wife died, and he developed a ritual to visit her grave. And so the poem tries to tell that story, and it identifies three key elements. And each of the stanzas begins with the word identifying that element. So the elements are stone, wood, and earth. Okay. The title of the poem is Bereft, He Chooses a Grave Marker. Stone would not do, granite or marble, polished to give back a face he knew too well, etched with grief. Fine-grained as glass or steel, impervious, it would tell his fingertips too much, too soon, about the permanence of loss. Wood, it would have to be, red oak from a tree like those that framed her garden. It would wither like, it would weather like their marriage. It would need attention. He'd massage it weakly with fragrant oil, feeling in its grain the familiar texture of her skin. Earth would claim him too, so he'd have another made for himself. With no one to anoint the slabs, they would check and warp, turn gray and crumble into dust. This he could foresee. This was how it had to be. I'm going to finish the set with a couple with very familiar, recognizable local settings. The first one is entitled Breakfast at the Huron Mountain Bakery, and probably everyone in this room knows what the Huron Mountain Bakery is. And you might even recognize, if you've spent a lot of time there, a character who's prominent in the story. So Breakfast at the Huron Mountain Bakery. They face each other across the table like opposing linemen, their heads tucked into hunched shoulders, their fists dripping coffee mugs. It's always the same table, a booth that commands a view of parked cars. The patient grills stand in formation looking back. At the front counter, we share a smile of recognition as we pay for our coffee, red-eye as usual, and the usual toasted bagels. Some things never change. The coffee, the bagels, the soft-eyed woman who fetches them before we can order. Also, of course, the loud guy. The loud guy and his friend. So what do you think of the new millage? Where will it end? Too loud. Much too loud. The room holds its breath as though the answer matters. The friend's mouth moves inaudibly. What does he think? Where will it end? His half-hearing partner nods, reading answers in the pantomime of lip and brow. Beyond the ranked grills, well beyond, rises the knob for which this place was named. Forged in fire and ice, it's been quiet a long time. The loud guy, too, will be quiet for a long time. Some things do change. This morning, though, he's still in good voice. Sliding into our booth, the usual, we silently cheer him on. Okay, and I want to finish the set with is another familiar setting, which is named. It's called Skeleton Found in Ore Dock 6. It's divided into two parts, and the first is dated October 19th, 1988. Halfway down chute 18, it hangs like a cocoon, waiting for spring to trigger the transformation plotted in the larval DNA. But this is fall, and the raveled chrysalis of parka, jeans, and tennis shoes, derelict as the dock itself, holds only bones. 2 summers have cooked the juices off. 2 winters have freeze-dried the skin and meat. Empty sockets stare unbelieving upward at the catwalk that gave his feet the slip. Today, 2 boys, intrepid as he was, but more sure-footed, will find a missing person before he's even missed. He'll be a 1-week wonder in the news, delivered nameless and stillborn from number 6's rusty loins. Part 2, April 1986, so this goes back 2 years. When he stepped from the hotel porch onto Spring Street, he left it all behind. The months in foster care, the miles of pointless wandering between Mount Clemens and Marquette. Left or right? The rising sun drew him toward the lake, for it was spring despite the soil rags of snow. He could feel the random buzz of new beginning in his bones. Today he'd sloughed him Ellen off, lose that loser's wasted years, all 17. Ahead, colossal hips and legs rose from the water, inviting him to mount and enter, daring him to be required.
All right, we're going to have a 20-minute break right now. You can get drinks, socialize, whatever. But think about what you've heard. Think about purchasing some of these books in the book release and getting the author's signatures. Think how valuable that is. So if you heard somebody up here that you really liked, purchase their book and get their signature. We'll be back in about 20 minutes.